All right.
Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good late morning, wherever you might find yourself today. Very happy that you could take a few moments to be with us. And our great partner, Orange Commercial Credit, Bob Delaplane, joining us, going to go through factoring, talking about factoring in just a moment. So we look forward to hearing that. Very happy you're here. A couple of things to keep in mind. There is a nice chat functionality here. So if you have any questions as we go through this, feel free to use the Q&A tool and ask any of those questions, and we'll be sure to respond with any questions that you might have, try to give you a good answer. Also enabled the transcript there, so if that is easier for you to read, we can include that there as well. And this is being recorded, so if later you want to share it with someone else in your company, on your team, more than happy to do that. But again, we're here to talk about forwarding. Now, what I do have, just to start, I'm actually going to throw this poll up here. Let's begin by starting with a poll. Hopefully you all can see this. Do you currently use a factoring company? So maybe you could just throw that there. And this is, it's helpful for us to see this, to know kind of what the starting point is, for Bob to know who his audience is, and be able to give the most useful information we have available. So anyone else want to respond? We get our respondents there. We have a yes. All right, so we have at least one user of a factoring company. That's excellent. If you'd asked me just a few months ago, I'd have said, what is factoring? But thankfully, we have some people who know the business, know what they're talking about, and so that is very beneficial. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that. And we are able to stop sharing that. We are able to jump right into it. So again, I want to introduce Bob Delaplane, joining us from Orange Commercial Credit, California. I have that right? You're joining from
Southern California.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Bob, thank you very much for being here. You have your PowerPoint set up, so I will let you take it away from here.
All right, let me just close these results. All right, so thank you, Kevin and Envase Technologies, for letting us present today on improving cash flow through factoring. My name is Bob Delaplane. As Kevin mentioned earlier, I'm with Orange Commercial Credit, also known as OCC. I've been with OCC for 25 years, and my position over here is business development. So I sit with business owners and explain our services and our programs and try to figure out if it's something that would benefit them. Normally, I didn't know Kevin was going to have that poll up there for factoring, because normally when I speak in front of a live audience in person, I ask by a show of hands how many people have factored before. Or first of all, I ask how many people have heard of factoring. And depending on the audience, if it's a transportation heavy crowd, the majority of the room has heard of it. And then I usually follow with how many people have used factoring. And it's probably about a quarter to a third of the room in transportation. In other industries, it's not quite as popular. But I'm glad Kevin posted that poll today, so we'll see what the results are later. Let me see here. I'm going to move to our slide. Next slide. So helping owner operators and carriers solve cash flow problems with invoice factoring. That's what we do. And here's some of the topics we're going to be talking about tonight. What is invoice factoring? Who's Orange Commercial Credit? Why work with OCC? Benefits, features of freight bill factoring, understanding intermodal billing, and how do I get started? So let me start with explaining what invoice factoring is. It's a process by which a business owner exchanges their invoices for immediate cash with a factoring company. Let's say in this case, you're a transportation company. You move freight, you have your signed proof of delivery, you forward that paperwork to the factoring company, and within 24 hours, we deposit the money in your bank account. Obviously, the benefit is having your money immediately instead of waiting 30 or 45 days. As a business owner, we all know how valuable it is to have that money in hand now. I'm sure you've all been in a position where you're hoping a big check arrives by Friday for payroll, or you have some bills to take care of. You don't have to worry about that when you're factoring. You get your money immediately. All right. Next, I'm going to talk about who is OCC. OCC has been around for 43 years. We're a privately held firm. We've been under the same ownership since day one, and we're a direct lender, which means we're not a broker. We fund our clients directly, and we have substantial capital base. We have Wells Fargo behind us. They've been behind us for 35 years. We're a flat organizational structure for fast decision-making. So we're not a bank. We don't have to deal with bureaucracy and red tape. We're not a large corporation where we have to go before committees and boards to get decisions. Within minutes, our managers make decisions and keep the ball rolling. We have a nationwide footprint. That basically means we have accounts all over the United States. We only have domestic accounts. We don't do international. And I think last count, we were in about 42, 43 states. We factor about 150 million every month in receivables. And this is a crazy number for me. I've been with Orange Commercial 25 years. And I remember shortly after I started, we had a big celebration when we hit 2 million in 1 month. So we've come a long way. We have flexible programs to meet our clients' needs. Trucking is our #1 industry, but we do work with some other industries. And every company in every industry is a little different, and their customers' needs are a little different. So we try to evaluate what it is exactly they need, what they're looking to do, what they want to accomplish, and we help them by customizing the program to meet their needs. Orange Commercial Credit has been in the intermodal industry for 40+ years, has extensive knowledge in it. Oops, I'm sorry, I just hit the wrong button here. I wanted to close out my Outlook before we started. Sorry, people, bear with me. All right, I haven't done a lot of these presentations. So I was saying that we have extensive knowledge for the 40+ years we've dealt in the intermodal space. And we've worked with companies that have 1 truck, 1 owner operator, all the way to companies that have 200 trucks. And our employees, the average employee has been with Orange Commercial Credit for 11 years. One last note, we opened our doors in 1979 in Anaheim, California. We were there for about 30 years before we relocated to Olympia, Washington. That's where we've been stationed for the last 12 years. The owner had a small shop up there and he decided to merge the two. Like many other business owners, he wanted to move out of California. So we now call Washington home, but I'm still here in Southern California. We've got tons of relationships and clients in this area. And it's a great area to be with, proximity to the port of LA and the port of Long Beach within 30 miles of me. All right, next slide I'm going to go to is what I like to call the factoring cycle. It explains how factoring works. So again, I'll use the trucking company as an example here. It says company, which this is a carrier, will deliver product and generate an invoice. You can't factor your invoice when you pick up the freight or when you're in transit, but once it gets to the final destination and you have a receiver sign or you have a bill of lading signed, interchange, whatever it is you have, at that point, you can factor it with Orange Commercial. You would upload it. So you'd scan everything and you'd upload it to us, all the documents. And at that point, we forward the money to you. We do a full advance minus the fee. So we get to step 3 here. And that means you get 97 to 99% of your money. Factoring rates have never been lower. Our rates are between 1% and 3% now. And that's due to lots of competition in the industry, technology coming into play, and interest rates in the United States being at some of the lowest levels they've ever been. And I remember when I started, we were charging 5 to 7% on an invoice, and that was standard. All factoring companies were. Trucking companies, whether you were running 2 trucks or 100 trucks, that was the rate you were paying. So again, factoring has come a long way, and it's a really viable means of financing your operation. And I wanted to also point out that we're offering an exclusive rate to Envase clients. The rate is between 1% and 2%. Even if you're a 1 truck operator, you won't pay more than 2%. If you have multiple trucks, you may be 1.75, 1.5, maybe 1. So that's the program we're offering. And we'll talk about that more later. You can always email me for more details. So step 4 is we go and forward all the paperwork to the carrier's customer, which we call the debtor. You may hear that term a few more times today, but debtor is just the customer of the carrier. And then when we send that to them, we also give them a notice that we're factoring them, and we provide our address and our bank information in case they want to send a check or they want to ACH it, because they will be making payment directly to Orange Commercial, which is step 5 here. And once that's done, the cycle is completed. And this just continues over and over. And we allow our clients to factor whenever they want. Some of our larger clients factor on a daily basis, and some of our smaller guys do it once or twice a week. It's entirely up to them. All right, so for the next slide here, I want to talk about some payment trends and some of the larger players in the intermodal and drayage space. I'm sure you recognize a lot of these names: Maersk, OOCL, APL, Evergreen, familiar names, large players. And the average of all these players in the industry is about 40 days to pay. On this little chart here, we have billing method, which is critical when you're dealing with these companies. They all have different ways in which they want you to send the paperwork to them, and they have different requirements as far as what paperwork they need and how they need it. Some want it online, some want it emailed, some want regular mail, some want loads billed separately, some want a whole DO or work order billed as one. It's critical you do it the way they want it, or you will not be getting paid in this manner as they normally do, or possibly at all. It'll really severely delay payments. So what you can see here in this column, back in April, we put some numbers together on what we were seeing from these customers. And then in February of this year, a few months ago, we did it again. You can see they've slowed down a little bit, but overall not that bad. But this is what you can expect when you work with these companies. The next slide I want to show you gets into the complicated intermodal billing. This is a form we created for our clients. As you get into this space, it's, again, critical that you provide the right paperwork and in the right form. So we created this form where our clients can keep track of everything. They can list the customer they're working with, where the invoices are to be sent, the means or method in which they're supposed to get there, and the billing contact that they've talked to. Then they can also look below, depending on if it's export or import and what that specific client requires. They can check those boxes, keep this on file, so every time they work with them, they know what's needed. I can't tell you how many times, dozens of times, where clients have come to us and they've provided me with an AR aging, and I'm looking at it and I'm seeing Maersk and Evergreen stuff 60, 80, 90 days old, and I'm just scratching my head. I'm saying, these companies pay us like clockwork, 40, 45 days. I don't understand what's going on here. Well, once we start working with a client, we realize that they're not following the proper channels. They're not providing the right paperwork. They're not sending it to the right department or right location. And these companies are huge. They're not going to track you down and say, hey, by the way, let me educate you on this. They're just going to ignore your invoices, or they may pay part of it. So again, this is a service we help provide to our clients. We explain to them and make sure they understand the channels. And if they're not doing it correctly, we will help them get it correct so that invoices are paid in full and there's no delays. Let me back up for 1 second. I did forget to mention one thing on this slide here. Another thing we do with these days to pay, we monitor this for our clients. Let's say Maersk is paying all, continuously for years at 40 days, and all of a sudden we notice they go to 60. There could be a logical explanation. Maybe they changed locations, they changed software, they changed management, they're merging with somebody. There could be a reason why it would slow down for a few months, but if we follow these trends and notice that another month or two later, now they're up to 70 days and it's continuing in the wrong direction, we're going to notify our clients that maybe you want to start working with some of these other companies and shy away from these a little bit, because you may recognize the name and think, oh, they're huge, there's not going to be a problem there. And maybe you haven't worked with them for 6 or 9 months. And now you jump in and do a big work order for them and find out later that they're paying in 75 or 90 days. It's going to put a big strain on you. So we think this is valuable information we share with our clients. They can do with it what they want. It's still their decision that they want to work with that company. We may tell them we're not going to factor it because of the red flags we're seeing, but if you want to go forward, you can. But sadly, I've seen companies do this several times as well, where they're out 80 or 100 grand when the company closes their doors and they lose the money. So again, we share this information we think is very valuable, but it's up to the business owner to do with it what they would like to do. All right, we talked about this one. So before I get into this last slide, which is the process of how you get set up for factoring, I just kind of wanted to go back and mention a few of the benefits of factoring with Orange Commercial Credit. Again, the number one is you get your money immediately. Number two is credit analysis. as I just reviewed there, we look at these customers and we advise you if something's looking like there might be a problem or there's a red flag, we're going to let you know. We also have an online 24/7 credit check where you can just punch in a company name or an MC number and the dollar amount of the load or the moves, and it'll tell you within seconds if they're approved or not. And again, that's 24/7. You can log on anytime. There's no charge. We also do collections for our clients, and this is huge. I've had many people tell me that the time, the hours we save them every week, as a business owner, you're wearing 10 hats. And if I can just take a couple hours off your plate or free up a couple more hours for you so you can dedicate it to other areas of your business, it's very valuable. Some of our larger clients have even told me that they have been able to save on hiring more staff because of what we do. So think of the savings. Not only are they not having to make payroll, but they're saving in benefits as well. So whether it's the owner individually saving the time or the savings on staff, it's big. And I want to give you one example. I recently was speaking at it was a networking event in Long Beach. There was over 100 people in attendance. It was the Harbor Transportation Association. And there was some former and current clients in the audience. And at the end, one of my clients stood up and kind of reiterated about how the collections was so huge for them and saved him time and money. And he went on to point out something else that I hadn't really thought about, but he said that when they came to us, they had been in operation, I don't know, 5-6 years. And he said that they were constantly chasing money, dealing with short pays, slow pays, all sorts of issues. He said within 3 months of us taking over, they all went away. He was blown away that our staff was able to do a better job of collecting. We knew who to talk to. We knew what they needed. We stayed on top of it. At 40, 45 days, we were calling on it. We weren't waiting to 60 or 90 days when he noticed, hey, I haven't been paid on this. So, and he said we helped him collect more of his money because companies weren't disputing. They weren't short paying invoices. They were paying on time and in full. All right. Another point. We do not make you factor all your customers. A lot of factors will say they need all your accounts. If you want to factor all of them, that's great. If you want to factor one or two, that's fine. It's up to you. Whatever the need is from month to month. And there may be a month where you don't need to factor at all. That's fine. We have no monthly volume requirement. So if you go a month or two without factoring, there's no penalty for that. We also do a 90-day contract. A lot of companies lock you in for a year. And when I say lock you in, it's locked in. If you try to leave after 3 or 4 months to get out of it, they're not going to let you walk away without thousands of dollars of penalties. So you're basically held hostage. We don't do that. You get a 90-day contract. If you're happy and you want to stay, it'll renew automatically. If not, you're free to walk away. Another benefit of Orange Commercial is we answer our phones. I don't know about you guys, but if I have an issue and I try to reach out to a company and I get lost, twisted up in some voicemail system or automated system that tells me to hit 2 and I'm hitting 2 and nothing's happening. And then it gets to the end and it hangs up on me or we start over again, or I get a voicemail that has no name attached to it. It's super frustrating. That's not going to happen with Orange Commercial. We pick up typically most of the time. If someone's on a call, they will call you back as soon as they hang up. We don't allow 5 or 10 voicemails to pile up. They'll call you back immediately. I guarantee it. And a large part of our referrals come from our clients. I think this tells a lot about our company. It means that our staff is taking care of the clients when I bring them in. They're willing to send their friends and neighbors to us. We get their clients or their employees when they spin off and wind up starting their own company. They call me and say, hey, I liked working with you guys, the way you treated us, and again, we have got a great back office. I get complimented all the time from people that are with other factors that come over and they tell me how different our crew is. And that's why our average client stays with us 4 years. We also have a reputation in this industry. We're one of the most ethical and honest factoring companies in the industry. And we have 50 people in our office. As I mentioned earlier, the average employee has been with us 11 years. Some have been with us 25 years. As a new company or a company that's only been around for a few years, they're so valuable. And I tell my new clients, lean on them, ask questions, pick their brains. If you have an idea you want to run by them, or you have a problem you're encountering, don't hesitate to talk to them. They've probably seen it. They've probably helped 24 other clients with the same situation. So take advantage, lean on them, use them. All right, I'm going to bring this in for a landing in another slide or two. So before let me get into this, how you get set up with Orange Commercial. I know you're all excited hearing about Orange Commercial and how we treat our clients and what we can do for them. So here's how you would get on board with us. All right, this whole process takes 4 to 5 days. Starts with the application, and along with the application, I send you a link where you click on it. It takes about 15 minutes to fill out. You would send us your insurance certificate, sample invoice, your articles of incorporation or your DBA if you're not a corporation, and your driver's license. Driver's licenses for all owners on the corporation or officers. The last thing we may ask for is an accounts receivable aging. If you don't have one, it's not a big deal, but if you do, it's very telling. We can see who you're working with, how many invoices we're going to be handling, what your average invoice size is, who your largest customers are, and we can see how your invoices are turning, if they're 45 days or 75 days. So once we get that information from you, I turn it into my underwriters. They'll do a quick review to make sure your company has active insurance, active authority, you're in good standing with your corporate status, you don't have liens or judgments against you. And at that point, they'll give me the okay to issue you a proposal and let me know what rate you qualify for. And on the proposal, it's just one page, basically detailing what we'll offer. We ask you to sign that if you accept it, remit the proposal back to me. I'll send it to underwriting, and underwriting will wrap up the application process. Once it's wrapped up, they'll do a final review and they'll reach out to me and let me know if they have any other questions or need to see any other documents. At that point, you say, Bob, let's do it, or no, thank you. You're never obligated at any point. At any point, you can walk away and say, I changed my mind, or I don't need this. If you do decide to go forward, they'll send you the documents through DocuSign, and it takes you a minute or two to sign off on those. They're sent back to us immediately, and you're ready to roll. At that point, the last major decision you have as a business owner is, what invoices do I want to send Orange Commercial? You can start with brand new invoices that you're going to be generating from that day forward, or you can bill us accounts that you've mailed out within the last 30 days. Any eligible accounts that you've billed in the last 25 to 30 days would be candidates for factoring. Let's say you have some insurance coming due, or some equipment you need fixed, or you have a property you want to buy and you could really use a 40, 50, 70,000 bump in capital, and you've billed that much in the last 30 days. Again, keep in mind, that's a possibility, that's an option, that's something you could do. All right, let's see. So as I wrap this up and we get into some questions here, I'd just like to say that not all factoring companies are the same, just like not all trucking companies, all shippers, all steamship lines, right? They're all very different. You have the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you have that in all industries. And we've been around long enough to know who the good, the bad, the ugly are. We've been helping companies in the ports of Long Beach and LA for 40 years and across the country. We've been through the ups and downs. We've stood the test of time. We know the intermodal and drayage industry inside and out. That's why we're here today presenting and talking to you. There's a lot of other factors out there, but there's very few that have the reputation and longevity and knowledge of the intermodal space that we do. We've worked with companies that have been in business for 2 days and companies that have been in business for 10 plus years. We've worked with companies that, experienced a bump in the road and needed us to jump in for 3 months. And we've worked with companies that have been with us for 10 plus years. It may be an issue where they're experiencing rapid growth potential. They have some new clients coming on and the bank won't support them and they don't have the capital. We can jump in and help them. Or they may have just had a little downturn, had a problem, a little low on money. Maybe they have bad credit and the bank won't help them. we're not afraid to jump in. We've helped countless people in that situation. We've even worked with people that are bankable. Typically, traditional lending is the cheapest route and the best route. That's the way you want to get to eventually at some point. But I've had people tell me that they don't mind paying a little more for the factoring fee because of all the other things we give or we provide to their back office. It's again, the collections and the credit clearing and advising them and counseling them and helping them. It's important and it's valuable, and they can more than offset that or justify the factoring expense. The other thing we do is we're not a bank, so we don't require audits. We don't ask for balance sheets or get into their ledgers. We let them run their company and we factor their invoices. That's what we do. We say we do one thing and we do it well. We factor invoices. So whatever the reason and for however long you need Orange Commercial Credit, we're here to help you with your cash flow needs and to help take your company to the next level. I'm going to open up for questions. I know some of you may have to get back to work, so if that's the case, feel free to reach out or email me with a phone call or email anytime. I'd be happy to talk to you and answer any questions. And my information is on the slide right here. And I want to thank Kevin and Envase Technologies again for making this possible. And to all of you that tuned in today, I look forward to your questions and hopefully working with some of you in the future. Thank you.
Bob, excellent job. Bob Delaplane joining us from Orange. So glad that you took the time to be here to walk us through all of that really good stuff from OCC available to us. So yes, questions, if you have them, you can use the Q&A tab there in the bottom of your Zoom box. Now is a great time. You have the professional, the wizard here who knows all. So why not ask those questions now? I was curious, and you sort of touched on it there while if anyone's thinking of their questions, but does it matter if someone is just a startup? You touched on it, but can they be just getting into business and use your services?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, I work with a lot of clients that are generating their first invoice that just got on the road that week. It's not a problem with us. I know banks typically require that you're in business for 2 or 3 years, but factors don't. We're happy to work with a brand new company.
Good to know. So if a bank in an instance might say no to something, OCC would be available as an option.
Absolutely. The bank may say no on 10 different issues, and we would probably be fine with 9 of those 10. I mean, as you know, banks look at a lot of different things that we don't. The bank will look at the company itself and put a lot of emphasis on that entity. We look at who that new business or that established business is going to be working with. And as I showed earlier, all those large players in the intermodal space, if they're billing them, we're pretty confident we're going to get paid back. And that's what allows us to do the transaction and sign them up and work with them, because it's the companies that they're working with and our confidence that they're going to get paid.
Excellent. And the other point that I was really key is you're not required to then send over all your accounts, all your information. You can use this on specific accounts as maybe you would see fit for your business. Is that right?
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, some factors want everything, and it just might not make sense. You might not need to factor everything. You just need a little extra cash every month, or you may even have some good relationships that are paying you in 7 days. And why pay a factoring fee when you're getting paid in 7 days? It makes no sense.
Excellent. All right, excellent. Well, I think that covers most of our question. And you highlighted that it's a brief application process. And if somebody's interested in getting involved, of course, your contact information is right there on the page. Further follow-up, they can talk directly with you. Does that sound about right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Reach out anytime. Happy to phone calls, emails, whatever. Happy to take them. Yep.
Excellent. Well, Bob, thank you very much for taking the time to be here. As I mentioned, this is recorded. We're going to make sure it's up on the site so that everyone can watch back later and, of course, share as needed. So, Bob, Andrea, thank you both very much for being here from OCC, and to our attendees, thank you very much as well for supporting Envase and supporting our partners. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
You got it. You too. We thank you all so much, and we look forward to you joining us in our next webinar, and we'll keep you updated on that. So thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
All right.
Bob, Andrea, thank you both very much. Really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
Take care.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.